Well, we are back in the studio. A couple weeks of traveling the world, and then obviously I was out on the field for 49ers rookie minicamp reporting from there. Thought it'd be good to sit down here on a Saturday evening and just give you actual objective 49ers insight onto these rookies at a time where that seems really, really hard to come by. Different spots are just going to make stuff up. They're not going to tell you the football aspect of things that are going on. They're going to go for the drama aspect of things that are going on. This is an actual football discussion, actual objective insight into this 49ers rookie class with some video. Obviously, we're going to talk about Ricky Pearsall, the separation question. I know I got a little bit into that in a video a little bit earlier this afternoon, but when you talk about Pearsall, his potential fit with the 49ers, how he can elevate this offense both in the short term and the long term, you have to circle back to what was one of the 49ers' biggest weaknesses in the Super Bowl. And that was the inability to consistently separate from sticky man coverage. Kansas City ran a lot of man coverage against the 49ers. L'Jarius Sneed, the cornerback, who obviously is no longer with them, he had a really good game. And it wasn't just L'Jarius Sneed. I mean, Trent McDuffie was really good for the Kansas City Chiefs as well. They ran some, the blitzes that they ran, I think, exposed some of the 49ers' communication and pass protection, which is why we talk so much about the need to improve pass protection. But one way to improve pass pro, and maybe an easier way to improve it, is to improve your separation ability with your receivers so they're not stuck onto by the defensive back, so that Brock Purdy has quicker throwing outlets. And when we talk about Ricky Pearsall, he was one of the best man coverage beating receivers in all of college football. And that's who the 49ers have brought in to try to bolster that room. You heard so much fake news, so much misinformation over the course of months about the 49ers' intended plans for Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. I sat here in this very chair time after time again telling you that the vastly likely outcome was the 49ers would keep both Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel for this 2024 season because they're very good players and the 49ers are not in the business of getting worse. Now that business is out of the way, that the 49ers have actually kept Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel, despite the fact that so many people were saying otherwise on the internet, a cautionary tale to not listen to everybody on the internet. Now that that's actually happened, now that the 49ers have those guys on their team set into their plans for sure, the public now sees that for 2024. We can observe how they plan to infuse Ricky Pearsall's skill set into that mix to improve the overall equation. And we talk about Deebo Samuel struggling to beat man coverage in the Super Bowl. We'll do a Super Bowl film review here over the next few days to really hammer home what the 49ers need to do. We talk about the fact that Brandon Ayuk has been getting the lion's share of the defensive attention from top defensive backs on other teams. We talk about the fact that Ricky Pearsall was an excellent separator in college. You watch his movement abilities, and this is going to go through a lot of different things from Ricky Pearsall. This was the footage that I got at rookie minicamp. There was some punt return stuff that he was working on. I believe that this part of practice was punt return work with Jacob Cowing, who's number 83. Yeah, there you go. You see Ricky Pearsall, but you can already see some of the shuffle ability with his legs. I'm going to fast forward past the punt return stuff to show you. So this is all going to be punt return stuff on this video. I want to show you some of the movement abilities of Ricky Pearsall through some of the receiver drills. I mean, you could tell the stutter step there is already going to be something that is a plus weapon for him. But the way that he separated in college was with the footwork. You could tell that he's a little bit lighter than your standard receiver because the 49ers have 200-pounders on the roster between Deebo Samuel, who's probably 220, and Brandon Ayuk, who obviously has bulked up since his rookie season. Pearsall checks in at about 189 or 190. In the previous video today, I talked about the thicker base that he has, though, that you don't normally see with a guy who's only 189 or 190. So his ability to separate is not just a finesse-based ability. His ability to separate in college was based on a little bit of power at the line of scrimmage, which goes to, I think, illustrate that this guy is going to be able to beat press man coverage, which is what the 49ers need him to do. He's not going to be taking on the biggest, strongest cornerbacks of opposing teams because the 49ers have Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. People need to learn how to understand additions to teams in complementary fashion. It's not just about Ricky Pearsall against all the other DBs on the Kansas City Chiefs or other NFL teams. It's about the combination of Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, Jawan Jennings, and Ricky Pearsall, plus what the 49ers have at other positions. They have Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle catching passes. It's about the totality of the unit against the totality of another unit's defensive backs. And if Ricky Pearsall can beat man coverage and develop separation against second and third defensive backs of other teams, he's immediately going to become a very favorite weapon of Brock Purdy's, a go-to target, even if he isn't the top receiver on the team. And I would hope that he's not the top receiver on the team because the 49ers have all pros, Pro Bowlers in Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel. So what he does is he makes the offense more adaptable. And I think in very short order, in a very quick period of time, when we were watching Ricky Pearsall work with the 49ers at their rookie minicamp practice, we were able to start to glean that he's got really movement ability. This is the video clip that I was looking for a little bit earlier. We have it ready right now. We can turn off the sound so we can hear. This is Ricky Pearsall working with Leonard Hankerson, the 49ers wide receivers coach. This is movement ability right here. This is the 6'6", 3 cone time at play. You can see Jacob Cowing working after him at the 49ers rookie mini camp. He's going to be coming up here in a couple seconds. That was Tay Martin. Now we got Cowing, number 83. Tay Martin's already been with the team for a season, but was still eligible to participate in the rookie mini camp. That's Jacob Cowing, the 5'8" weapon that the 49ers were able to pick up in a little bit of a later round than Ricky Pearsall. He came further down in the draft, but he comes out of Arizona. This is Tariq Owens, Terrell Owens' son, 84. And, you know, this is another thing. I'm going to have to replay this. Tariq Owens was getting so much grief from people who do not know what they're talking about on social media. Like, this is sloppy route running. The 49ers are just giving this guy a chance because he's a legacy player. Actual NFL receivers chimed in and said there's absolutely nothing wrong with Tariq Owens' movement ability here. So there are a bunch of know-it-alls, more like know-nothings on the internet, who have small followings on YouTube, who can't struggle to crack 1,000 viewers a show, who've probably never played a down of football in their life. They definitely haven't played a down of football above the high school level in their life. They're trying to critique Tariq Owens' movement abilities here. That's the problem right now in the discourse surrounding not just the 49ers, but in anything. If you talk about football, you talk about politics, anything, people act like they know more than they do. And they go off and try to spout off all this knowledge, which really isn't knowledge. It's really just talk because it's trying to get clicks. In the case of Ricky Pearsall, we have complete misevaluations of his performance, of his abilities, especially from Friday. In the case of Tariq Owens, it's the same thing. If you want the objective truth, watch the tape of these players and watch their movement abilities and actually listen to experts, listen to former NFL receivers talk about how good they look as far as what they might be asked to do within the context of Kyle Shanahan's system. Also, yesterday, we talked to Nick Sorensen, who's the 49ers' new defensive coordinator. And one of the things that he really, really emphasized was adaptability. I asked him not only about Tatum Bethune, the linebacker, and Malik Mustapha, the 49ers safety. I asked him about Renardo Green. Here's a quick look at Renardo Green. This is their second-round pick, defensive back. Sky's high. He's got some hops. Take another look at that. I'm going to pause that mid-flight. Renardo Green, a little bit of athletic ability on tape there. But Renardo Green is somebody who the 49ers are going to start out at nickelback. They're going to begin his tutelage working at slot cornerback. Then they're going to move him to outside cornerback. They hope that he learns all of those corner positions so he can play all over the formation for the 49ers. Sorensen really, really wants this defense to up its adaptability. He wants players like Renardo Green who could go outside and inside, sort of like Deommodore Lenoir has been able to move outside and inside. He needs to replace potentially a lot of defensive back talent after this 2024 season, since all these veterans are only under contract for 2024. He wants adaptability at safety with Malik Mustapha, who's built like a linebacker. I mean, this guy's strong. He does not look like your typical safety, but he wants to be able to flex the safety down into the linebacker position at different alignments. He wants to be able to blitz. From a schematic perspective, that gives the 49ers more options. But I think that what Sorensen really emphasized yesterday about his philosophy as the 49ers defensive coordinator is that he wants these defenders to play the 49ers style more than, X's and O's versatility. He wants a safety who is able to come with a linebacker's hitting mentality on run plays, on blitz plays. He doesn't want some kind of delicate flower back there who might be able to cover and move his hips well, and blanket a receiver, but then lose at the point of contact and then be hopeless against the run when things get a little bit more rough and tumble. Because I think that the league in general is emulating what the 49ers have done in recent years. They're running the ball more. 49ers who dropped significantly in run defense are going to have to get better. So they want players who play in the style that brought them to become the top run defense in the NFL by the end of that 2022 season. It was happening consistently. So adaptability has to come in many shapes and sizes. It has to come in the X's and O's version of it, but it has to come in a mentality version. And Malik Mustapha is a player who Nick Sorensen talked about yesterday as someone who's versatile enough to embody what the 49ers are all about. So the rookie safety out of Wake Forest is going to be somebody that we need to watch. Adaptability stretches also to the coaching staff. Brandon Staley is former head coach of the Chargers, former defensive coordinator of the Rams, is now on the defensive staff. His role has not been firmly defined, at least to the outside. Nick Sorensen said yesterday that he's going to be helping not only with the secondary, which is where a lot of his expertise comes, but remember that Brandon Staley was an assistant coach working with outside linebackers and defensive ends back in Denver under Vic Fangio. So he can work with the front seven as well. Somebody like Malik Mustapha, who was all over the formation for Wake Forest, playing that Panther position. That was a third down rover position that might remind people of the star position that Brandon Staley implemented with the Rams and Jalen Ramsey and then Derwin James with the Chargers. Malik Mustapha, who might fit into kind of that thinking of where Brandon Staley is trying to deploy versatile chess pieces. He's just one representation of where the 49ers might take this defense as they hope to evolve it to the next level. They want to keep what they've had. And we talk about Nick Sorensen being a defensive coordinator and a coach that's already been on this staff. They want to return to the roots that got them to this position, but they also want to evolve along with the rest of the league so they can counter what opposing offenses are going to do. And that's where Brandon Staley comes in. It's going to require adaptability from players. It's going to require adaptabilities for coaches, from coaches as well, because you've got two of these, I think, exceptionally experienced coaches at this point at the top of the 49ers defensive hierarchy. Obviously, with Nick Sorensen being the defensive coordinator and the play caller, he's worked in different facets of the game. I mean, he used to be a quarterback in college at Virginia Tech, to Brandon Staley, who has actual NFL head coaching and coordinating experience. He's going to be more of a whiteboard guy. 49ers trying to combine the experiential nature of both careers into something that runs this defense at a level that they wanted it to run in 2023, but quite frankly, it did not run in 2023 under Steve Wilks. Let's take a look at the offensive line for the 49ers and their plus movement traits. These guys, they added 4 offensive linemen who run 4.47 or faster in the short shuttle, which is unheard of. There've only been 28 offensive linemen since 2010 in the draft to run 4.47 or under in the short shuttle. The 49ers picked up 4 of them And you're seeing most of those guys on the screen right now. Also, you get to see Isaac Alarcon right here, 49ers' new international exemption player, number 67 there, working against Bryson Mays, who is one of the undrafted rookies out of the Southern Miss, formerly of West Virginia, projects as a center, one of those really quick players that the 49ers picked up. But here you've got Jared Kingston, 62, another one of those quick guys. Corey Luciano was already on the team last year, but he was getting moved there by Drake Nugent. That's 66. Nugent is the center out of Michigan. It's Nugent, it's Jared Kingston, Dominic Pooney, 77, who's the third-round pick. He's the headliner of this draft class. And Bryson Mays. Those are the four guys, the four very exceptionally quick offensive linemen who ran that 4.47 or under short shuttle. And you see them all working here at rookie minicamp practice alongside Isaac Alarcon, who that time was on the receiving end from Bryson Mays. So how many of these guys are going to make the team? Well, two of them are draftees, 77 and 62. Right here, you're going to see them square off. 77, Dominic Pooney, and 62, working on the movement block. Jarrett Kingston, a sixth rounder out of USC. Those two are draftees. Then you have Drake Nugent, 66, in the picture right now. You know, he's a little short. That's the issue. Drake Nugent is shorter than your typical center, your typical interior lineman, but he was an all Big Ten player. And he's working against another center, Corey Luciano, out of Danville, who's already been with the 49ers for a year. And then Bryson Mays, bigger than Drake Nugent, as you can tell. Same type of movement ability, not the same type of pedigree as Nugent, who was an all Big Ten center on a team that won the national championship and went 15-0 for Jim Harbaugh. So a lot of really, really intriguing talent the 49ers added to that offensive line room. You wouldn't know it if you watched most of these analysts talking about how the 49ers didn't add offensive linemen. They added 4 offensive linemen over the course of the rookie acquisition period. There's, again, exceptional movement talent there. Now it's going to depend on who rises to the top. Will the cream rise to the top? It usually does. Do the 49ers have that kind of capability in this draft class? I thought when we looked at Dominic Pooney, big, solid frame for Pooney, one of those players who carries the weight well, looks like he's athletic, looks like he's worked himself into good shape, hasn't given up a sack since his time at Central Missouri. That was 2 seasons at Kansas, FBS school, without giving up a sack. We were talking to him the other day. Still remembers the sack that he last gave up. So prideful player who the 49ers picked highest out of all these offensive linemen in the NFL draft, who I think they see as one of the most versatile linemen in the draft, maybe the most versatile lineman in the draft, and they think that he can make them a whole lot better. So anyway, there's some actual objective insight into the 49ers draft class. We're going to be delving a whole lot more deeply into this over the course of the next several days, as the 49ers don't practice here for over a week. So we'll have a lot of studio shows. We'll have a lot of updates for you. We'll have a lot of tape breakdown for you. But just wanted to set the record straight, give you guys a nice little start to your Saturday evening. Everybody, thanks for watching. We'll talk to you very soon.